So just to recap, we have been discussing sizing conductor for PV system. That's what we have been discussing. Sizing conductor for PV systems. And we spoke about the objectives of the course. This material, we spoke about the objectives, the importance of it. I think we were all the way at page number 10. Page number 11, okay, page number 11. Thank you for the reminder. So we're all the way here at page number 11. We're talking about the National Electric Code. We're talking about the NEC, the 960, the 690.8 code, which talk about the maximum current, maximum socket current. So that's what we spoke about. I think I sent you guys a repeat. Hold on one second. Repeat of the training. Was that clear? Was that video clear? The repeat of the training?
Yeah.
Okay, the audio. Okay, so I think I did recorded the training section, and I sent a repeat of the training. Let me proceed to page number 12. Page number 12. Do you have your material with you?
Yeah.
Okay. Continuous detail. D-U-T-Y, detail. Sockets are considered continuous when maximum current can flow for 3 hours or more. PV systems, DC, AC sockets are continuous. Continual operations equal more heat produced. Additional 1.25 safety factors adjustment required. PV source or output socket adjustment for continuous detail equals PV maximum socket current times 1.25. ISC times 1.25 times 1.25. We went over this mathematical formula. We went over this formula yesterday. We said to find the continuous detail. You remember after we looked at the model, this is the PV model here. We are given the minimum short socket current. They give us the short socket current of 10.05. We multiply 10.05 by 1.25. We got 12.6. Is that what we got?
Yeah, 12.6.
So we got 12.6. We got 12.6. Now, for the continuous detail, they're saying that the 12.6, we're going to multiply that 12.6 by another 1.35. So you multiply 12.6 by 1.25, what do you get?
$15.75.
15.75. I have a quick question for you guys. What is the difference between a conduit, a conductor, and a socket? What is the difference?
Okay. Yeah, okay. The conduit, the conduit is the carrier has the conductor side where conductor are passed through.
Okay.
And the conductor is the wire.
Okay.
The wire and the conductor. And the circuit and the connection between the connection from the PD to the junction box, to the junction box to the disconnect, those are different sockets between them.
Excellent. Excellent. So that's just clarified that you guys gripped up, understand the concept of the material we are discussing. Now I'm going to read a little bit here. It said the NEC section 690.8 required conductors to be sized based on calculating continuous current for each socket. The current in PV systems are considered continuous because they could be sustained for 3 hours or more at peak output, meaning the NEC definitions of continuous. Sockets that will operate on a continuous detail must have additional 1.25 factors of safety applied to protect them from overload during continuous use. This is separate from the previous discussed irradiance factors. We were discussing the irradiance factors here on page number, let me go back here, let me go back to the page, irradiance factor. Okay, on page number 10, we spoke about the maximum current. The maximum current and amount you could actually measure with a clip-on meter, you can use that. But the maximum PV socket current equal the ICS times the 1.25 irradiance factors. So we already did this. That's what we did yesterday. I think almost all of you guys should be able to know how to find the model to find the maximum PV socket, the maximum socket current, the maximum socket current. I think you guys should be able to understand that we did that yesterday. That's for the PV source output socket. So we did that yesterday. We did that calculation. But this is saying that what we're talking about here on page number 12, page number 12 is different from that. On page number 12, that is completely different from what we discussed yesterday. Sockets that will operate under the continuous detail must have an additional 1.25 factors. Now, take into consideration that every PV model or every socket, first and foremost, let's talk about the PV model current socket. They give you the max. They tell you the minimum, and you can calculate to get the max. Yes, we know about that. We did that yesterday. But this one here, paying attention to this topic is very important. The socket that will operate on a continuous duty must have additional 1.25. What they're saying is that nobody can actually guess all year round what the pit of the sun may be. It will happen that there could be a day that the sun shines extremely, the heat is more than it usually is. That could happen. So that's why they use the word continuous. Like I said, my son liked the word infinity. So they use the word continuous because they want to give you the thumbs up that there is possibility that even though we calculate our minimum based on 80-degree Fahrenheit, the maximum based on 80-degree Fahrenheit, but there's possibility that the sun could get so high, the sun ray could get so high that it could be in the 90s or 95. There's possibility. So because of this, they're talking about the use of word continuous detail. Now, socket that will operate under continuous duty must have an additional 1.25 factors. They're saying even though when you find your maximum, there is a possibility of adding another 1.25 so that you can, in case there is a continuous, the socket will not destroy. The socket will be able to withstand that continuous pressure. Do we have that? I'm going to continue to read because we may understand it as I continue to read. Let me. Okay, great. Okay. This is separate from the previously discussed irradiance factors and is sometimes referred to as the 80% rule. As 1.25 is a reciprocal of 80%. 80% operation equals 1 divided by 0.80 equals 1 times 1.25. When this correction factor is applied, the conductor carry no more current than 80% of its rated ampacity. So for PV source socket and output socket, the continuous current equals the maximum current at 1 point times 1.25. Do you understand that? PV source socket. Let me go back to a PV source socket. Let me show you what a PV source socket means. We spoke about the source.
Yes.
This is your PV source socket. Remember we talked about that?
Yeah.
When the word source is used in a PV system setup, they're talking about the source, the current source, what provides the current, the DC current to all of your appliances. It is the source. The source is from these PV models. So the socket we are talking about this PV source socket. The first thing we did yesterday, we find the irradiance. Yes, we find the irradiance. How did we find the irradiance? We went over here at the data sheet of the PV model and saw the short circuit current, which is 10.05. We multiplied the 10.05 by 1.25 and we got 12.6. Now we know the irradiance. But they are saying for the continuous detail, we have to find the continuous detail for this PV source socket. We are going to multiply what we found yesterday, that 12.6, we're going to multiply it by another 1.25, which will give us 15 point what?
7.8.
15.8?
7.75. 15.75.
Which will give us 15.75. So 15.75 is 15.8. Isn't that what it is? It will give us 15.8. So that is what we're talking about. We find the irradiance. After we're done with the irradiance, then we find the continuous detail of the PV source socket. Bear in mind, we are just talking about this PV source socket. Is that clear?
No.
We're talking about source. When the word source is used in the setup, they're talking about anything that relates to the PV model and the socket that connects to the DC combiner box. Is that clear?
Yeah.
All right. Let me move on. So I'm going to go back here on page number 12 and go over it again and read it so you can get it back into, I told you guys, I do not teach just because I want to go through the material. I don't teach like that. My method of teaching is for you to grasp the little you can grasp, but grasp the concept very well. Okay? Grasp the concept very well. If you don't understand the material, we go over it until you understand the material. Because it make no sense for me to run through the material because I gotta get done with the course and move to a second course when you do not understand this course because you need the basic fundamental from this course to move on to the second. Is that clear?
Yeah.
So I understand some people may grasp the concept quickly, but some may not. So usually I like for the class to be participatory. I like for you guys to interact and somebody who grabbed the concept. When I was in school, I learned more from friends than the teacher because maybe I may not really understand when the teacher teaching the material, but sometimes when you guys are in class and you decide to share the material together, you explain it in your own word, you could understand it better. I'm going to go back to it. The continuous detail. Sockets are considered continuous when maximum current can flow for 3 hours or more. They are saying in the given day, if there is a high peak of sun ray for about 3 hours or more, that socket is considered a continuous, like the PV source socket. It must have a continuous ability to withstand any high peak, withstand a high peak of current that is generated from the sun. Is that clear?
Okay.
All right. So PV system DC AC socket are continuous. Continual operation equals more heat produced. Additional 1.25 safety factor adjustment required. PV source socket output socket adjustment for continual duty equals the PV maximum current. PV maximum current times 1.25. Did you remember we found the PV maximum current?
Yeah,
Can someone explain to me how do you find the PV maximum current?
yes. To find the PV maximum current, you go to the nameplate or the data sheet account of the PV, and then you look for the ISC. It's not setting current, the minimum. That is on the data sheet. That is the minimum. So you take that minimum, you multiply by 1.25. When you multiply by 1.25, you get the maximum. You love the maximum or substantial current for that PV.
Excellent. That's beautiful. So that's how we found the PV maximum current. But then in order for us to find the continuous duty, we take that maximum PV current, which is this 12.6 we did yesterday. We now multiply that by 1.25, giving us what? 15 point what? 15.8, giving us 15.8. So that's what they're saying. Power electronic socket adjustment for continuous duty equals socket maximum current times 1.25. I just explained that already. So let me move forward. We are now on page number 13. On page number 13, conditions of use, higher temperatures, reduced conductor ampacity. Hello?
Okay. I want to ask a question.
Okay.
Yeah,
but I'm going on with the material and ask question when I ask when we time for question, yeah? Write down your questions write down your questions. So when I done presenting this page, then we ask question, then we go back again, yeah? Okay?
Okay.
All right. Now who is that? Is that Lincoln?
Yeah, Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln. Okay, Abraham, why you don't have your t-shirt?
I have the t-shirt. Go. This is junior. I was not ready for you. I was not there for the t-shirt.
Is he new?
Yes, man, but I'm not well.
Oh, you are not feeling well. Welcome back, bro. Welcome back. Okay. You have some catching up to do. There's some materials. We did most of the class, we have the recording of the classes. So that will be helpful too. And Mr. Kotuman, you can brush him up as well. Can you, sir?
Yes, I will.
Okay, Mr. Kotuma will be able to brush you up. Okay. The ambient air temperature other than 30 degrees Celsius or 86 degrees Fahrenheit. The NEC table 310.115b 2a multiplies conductors in the same conduit. Adjustment required for 3 plus current carrying conductors in a single conduit. Additional heat raises temperature in conduit. The NEC table 310.15b 3a. Raceway cable exposed to sunlight or roof must be greater or less than 23 millimeters. That's 7/8 of an inch. That's 7/8 of an inch above roof, or additional adjustment applied. So the conditions of use for conductors also must be considered. Heat is the primary concern because conductors' ampacity decreases as temperature and thus resistance increases. The conditions that increase operating temperature for conductors and which the NEC provides adjustment for are high ambient temperatures, exposure to sunlight in conduit on rooftops, and multiple conductors in the same conduit. Table 310 310.15b 2a in the NEC provide factors for reducing, correcting conduit ampacity when the ambient temperature is above 30 degrees Fahrenheit or 30 degrees Celsius or 86 degrees Fahrenheit. This is often the case for conduit in PV arrays since they are installed outside. Sometimes the AC socket may not actually be exposed to higher ambient temperature. For instance, if the inverter and the associated AC wiring are located inside in conditioned space, obviously, areas that experience moderate to high summer temperatures will be affected. But regardless of geographic location, conductors run across a roof through an attic or installed in other high temperature location will be subject to increased ambient and thus operating temperatures. Multiple current carrying conductors inside the same conduit cause the temperature inside the conduit to be higher because there is more heat from more conduit and less air space for heat to dispense into. Therefore, NEC 310.15b 3a require a reductions in conduit ampacity whenever there are more than 3 current carrying conduit in the same conductor. Current carrying conductors in the same conduit. This applies to the ampacity of all conductors in that conduit. Now, that raceway or cable exposed to sunlight on roof must be installed greater or less than 23 millimeter, 7/8 above the roof or an additional 33 degrees Celsius or 60 degrees Fahrenheit must be added to the ambient temperature when calculating ampacity for those sockets. This can result in big increases in wire size and putting conductors that close to a roof, putting conductors that close to a roof, putting conductor that close to a roof is a bad idea whenever because they can catch and trap debris, water, and snow. So this year, the reading on page number 13 is talking about the ambient air temperature. So when the conductors are in the conduit, like Mr. Kotuma said, the 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 the, 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 the conduit is the bread. The conductor is the mayonnaise. How many of you eat bread and mayonnaise? Okay, so the bread is the conduit and the butter is the conductor. You don't put you open the bread and you put the mayonnaise, the butter were inside the bread, not so. So the conductors are they're put into the conduit. But they are saying here is that because having more than three conductors in one conduit, and they all are generating heat, it causes the ambient air temperature. It raises the temperature in that conduit. You got it? It raises the temperature in that conduit. If you have one conductor running through a conduit, it will have more space to breathe. There will be more way for it to have debris. But because you have three in one conduit, there's high possibility of it generating a lot of heat. That's what we are talking about here, especially in high temperature areas, like places that go up to 86 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a very common temperature for Liberia, isn't it so? 86 degrees, it can be as hot as 90 degrees in Liberia or more, not so? So that's what they are talking about here. So that's what it said. Multiple current carrying conductors inside the same conduit cause the temperature inside the conductor to be higher because there is more heat from more conductors and less air space for heat to dis is that dispense dissipate into. Therefore, the NEC 310.15b 3A, these are the code. Now, you guys know that I'm going to find a book I'm going to get a whole NEC code book. But we worked with the NEC code book. You need to know the code. Not memorizing. I don't like, you don't have to memorize things here. But you have to familiarize yourself with the fact that if you are going to be doing PV installation, there is a code. And we're not, for our team, we're not going to be business as usual. We're not going to do job because everybody do it the way they do it. We're going to do it based on the right way, the way it should be done. That somebody can enjoy a comfortable system for provide them reliable current for over 20 years or 25 years. That is our in and objectives. So that's why you see I'm teaching you tenderly. I'm not just teaching you how to take a wire and put it on and connect things. No, I know a lot of people will like to jump the gun to go to the part that I can do and get money. If you have that mentality in your mind when you are learning, you'll be very limited. But if you are willing to have a time to learn things gradually, you will be a professional. And when you're a professional, you what? You stand up among other people. Because you never know when in your life you will have to talk to somebody who knows what you should know. Now, if the person knows what you should know and it's happening that you don't seem to know what you should know, you become what? You become, when I was in Liberia going to school, those days kids had to pay for grades. So more of my friends were focused on the 90 mark they pay for or the 95 they pay for. Some of us didn't care. If I made my high 70 because the teacher made the test so hard so everybody can fill, I was satisfied with that because I was convinced that I could prove that 70 anywhere in the world. Do you get it?
Yeah.
That is why you see people are educated or have portfolios, but they are afraid to portray the actual work, except they have people who around them will guide them. Maybe who know you. This person know me, that person know me, that my brother did, that my sister did, because when they come to competency, they don't have it. That is why when I'm teaching, I want to teach you standardly. So tomorrow you never know. You could travel somewhere and you decide to pursue your career in PV system installation, and then at the end of the day, the people will be confused. How is it this guy know what he knows? When we were in Liberia, we didn't have library, we didn't have all those big resources, but we took our time to learn the little we could learn, and we learned it well. When we came to the Western man world, I have worked in places where there are young people who have degrees, five degrees, but when it comes to they respect me. They did respect me not because I'm a plump and proud man, it's because the little I am supposed to know, I made it my business to know it well. You get it? All right. Read, man. Practice. You have the material. Practice. Mr. Kotuma spent a lot of time practicing. He spent a lot of time reading. And you have to practice, especially young people don't like to read. I never like reading, but if there's something technical, I would sit down and read it for a long time. But if you give me a law book to read, forget about it. I never when I even open it, I would sit down there until I grow more because I don't have interest in that. You give me a sociology book to read, I will not read it. I don't have interest in that. You give me a philosophy book to read, I will not have interest in that. The only book I read that can give me a complete understanding of philosophy and sociology is the Bible. That's the only book I read that gave me a conclusive conclusions of all of those other areas. Because if you read the Bible is one of the most smartest, one of the greatest book to read because it gives you knowledge in every area. So that's the only book me I can read. If I want to read to learn how to interact with people, the Bible teach me that. But I don't read other books that I don't have interest in. So you have this material here. I know some of you are busy, but spend your time You got to read the material where you soak yourself with it. Okay, guys? And device temperature, keep. Now we onward to page number 14. Device terminal compatibility. I'm going to stop here and answer your question now. Young man, what was your question?
Yeah, my question is why go I do understand at the peak maximum current, you are saying additional 1.25 should be higher than 1.25. Get it over there?
No, no. Can you in front of the computer? Can you answer the question? Ask the
It said,
question.
it said, why would it be additional 1.25 to the maximum cycle current?
Why?
Why you have to get 1.25 additional 1.25 after getting the maximum current?
Oh, because you try after getting the maximum socket current, you're getting the due for the higher temp for this. Number 12, yes. You are doing that calculation again for your continuous duty. The first calculation, the first 1.25 is for your irradiance. The second one is for your continuous duty. So you have like Mr. Kotuma said, this is the data sheet of this PV model. This is a Q cells PV model. They have different watts. We have 380 watts, 385 watts, 390 watts, 395 watts. Now here is the short circuit current, the RSC. After the testing, the data testing that says the RSC arm of this model, the 385 is 10.05. But they did not give us the maximum. They just gave us what they gave us the minimum. You seeing it? So we have to do our own calculation to find the maximum. Now, if we did the maximum, find the maximum to be able to find the irradiance. So now we know that. Then we add another 1.25 so we can find the continuous duty, which means if the current for any reason or the source, the current, the sun ray excel the required temperature, excel maybe 85 degrees 85 degrees Fahrenheit, excel 85 86 or excel, then what is required, the conduit will be able to the conduit, the socket will be able to withstand that period of time. It don't always happen, but it's possible that sometime maybe in November or the time when the sun get very hot in Liberia, it's possible that it could, or anywhere in Africa where it's possible the sun could have a higher peak for about 3 hours in a given day. So they're saying that is the reason why you need to add another 1.35 for your conduit sizing. So when you're sizing the conduit now, you know that the conduit you're going to find, instead of looking for a 10, you're still looking for a current, the current that can handle the short circuit current of 10.05. You're going to look for a conduit that can handle 15.8. Not so? Because you are concerned about whenever that happens. You are getting ready, you are getting prepared for the future. It's like when you're building your house, you make sure you get your foundation solid.
Your estimate how to do that extra something to avoid maybe that will damage.
Yes. All right. Are we clear with that?
No.
Huh?
Yeah, so you are there, I think right? Yeah. Yeah. So in case you are where we have less sunshine, I would say to add the 1.25.
It's a standard, my brother. It's not going to change. You are whether less or you did you are getting prepared for the worst case scenario. You don't get prepared for the better scenario. You're getting prepared for the worst case scenario. So all through the best cases, you'll be okay. But if the worst case scenario comes, you will also be prepared. All right. Mr. Kotuma, can you explain it locally? Yeah, he understand what I mean?
Yeah, what I'm saying to be is that the maximum current that we get, it is to bear the to bear the force of the current that coming from the array. First of all, you work from the array to the circuit. All right, that first one, it helps us to determine the current from the array to the circuit. All right, now the second one, like the second 1.5, and then 1.25 there, so I'll be able to get a better wire size when the current rises. All right, because of the temperature of the explosion, the wire side will not to bear that additional current. Because when the temperature rises or the condition becomes harsh, when the current increases, all right, you pass through the wire. If the wire is not the size is not big enough, then the damage can cause overheat or it can cause fire. Right? But when the wire size is big enough, all right, even when the current rises, the same level will continue that current to go through. So that's why we add additional 1.5 so the maximum that we first discover, the first part of the calculation. Right? So we get a system set for protection. Yeah, that is not the for protection of the system. Like the current rises above. While you see the work continuous heating. Continuous something I don't know that I have it. Something that I have it and all of it open and to add so that continuous today. It means that once the particular system operating for 3 hours or more, or the continuous today. All right. They don't know the irradiance. The irradiance power, the amount of power that the solar system is drawing from the moon. All right. Like the irradiance. So for that irradiance, we add the multiply by the first 1.25 for the irradiance. Then from there now, when there's an operation going on, the system is operating. All right. For complete 3 hours of movement, already continuous today. That continuous operation is today. It's ongoing. So what is ongoing? Anything that happens in that time. So if you don't add additional factor, 1.25 to that actually, and the heaviest rush for the current goal from the damage the wire and fire to have to make a control of the system. So I will add additional one.
All right. Are we okay now?
Yes.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Mr. Kotuma. Thank you for that contribution. So let's proceed. Page number 14. All right, look right here. So they said device terminal compatibility. Sorry, compatibility. Operating temperature of the conductor cannot exceed terminal temperature ratings. Most terminals are rated for 75 degrees Celsius. Most conductors are rated for 90 degrees. If conductors will exceed terminal temperature, an increase in the conductor size is required. You got that? Now, let me read it. A final procedure in selecting wire size is verifying that the operating temperature of the conduit will not exceed the temperature rating of the various terminals to which it connected. Most log-on breakers and disconnect are rated for 90 75 degrees,
75.
75 degrees Celsius. Though some older equipment may only be rated for 60 degrees. The ratings should be listed somewhere on the component itself. Conductor used in PV systems are rated for 90 degrees, meaning that they could be safely sized using this temperature rating with appropriate wire capacity. But depending on the current and temperature, may be operating at more than 75, thus exceeding most terminal temperature ratings. In essence, this means that although 90-degree reading conductors are often used, their capacity after being adjusted for condition of use must not excel the capacity readings even in the 75 degrees column in NEC table 10.15b16. Thus assure that they never operate above the 75-degree temperature readings at the terminal. What they are saying here is the conductors are rated for up to 90 degrees. And we all know what a conductor is, isn't it? But then the terminal, so if that conductor has to go through this socket, through this breaker has its own ratings as well. They're saying is this conductor here, we have to be, it cannot excel. You got it?
Yeah.
So it is very important. It's very, very important. Let me go back here. Very important. This means that although 90-degree ratings conductors are often used, the ampacity are being adjusted for condition of use. I want you guys to take your material and read, go over page number 14 to page number 18. You have the material with you. I want you guys to read that material. I'll come right back in a few minutes.
and panel, each panel property on the front.
All right, guys, back. Okay, so now let's proceed. Did it make sense that you read and understand a little bit before we explain? Hello, are you guys hearing me?
Got you.
Okay, so let me see here. We're gonna go here. Now we do pay with add voltage drop, the V drop. This is a very important area. Loss of voltage due to resistance in conduit, in conductors and connections. Factors creating high V drop. What are the factors that causes high V drop? Number one, smaller wire. Number two, longer distance. Number three, greater current. Number four, higher temperatures. So these are factors that causes loss of voltage and causes voltage drop. Number one, smaller wire. You choose smaller wire for a job, wrong wiring. Two, longer distance, greater current, high temperature. The minimum voltage drop as part of good design practice, the key component in system efficiency. Minimizing voltage drop is essentially important with microinverter and inverter output socket in general. Now let's move forward. After the NEC conductor ampacity requirements have been met, voltage drop, the line loss, also called the line loss, must be addressed. The conductor size ultimately selected will be the larger of the two, meaning the NEC ampacity requirement or ensuring voltage drop is within acceptable limit. In other words, conductor size may be increased from the minimum required by the NEC for appropriate ampacity in order to minimize the voltage drop. Conductor size must never be decreased from the required minimum based on NEC ampacity requirement. What they're saying is very explicit. The NEC gave a requirement. You have the minimum conductor size. You should never say, okay, you know what? You went to buy the conductor and they say, oh, we don't have AWG number 2 or AWG this number. We have this number here, but we can do better on the price. And from a business point of view or from a whatever point of view, you was in a human natural instance, you may say, oh, I can get a wire for cheaper price. Not bearing in mind that if you use a smaller wire on the job, it will cause voltage drop. And when voltage drop are caused, it will cost you a lot in the future. Because what happens is you have to do rewiring. The customer will complain they will be uncertified, you'll be rated for a bad job. That is why in our company, when we do job, we're going to send the customer a survey. Customer going to have a periodic survey telling us the experience of the job we did. Those surveys what we're going to use to have in our database that we can refer to other people, even on our website, to other potential customer or clients to say these are the words from the people we have served. Do you understand?
Okay.
So let me proceed again. Now, there was, I gave you a picture yesterday. Hold on, let me find that picture right here. I found a nameplate of a PV model yesterday that I downloaded. I want to show you something on our PV model. It even recommended the cable to use. Mm.
What?
Let me look at this nameplate. Let me see. Reading. No, this is not it. Oh, excellent. Can you see this right here? The sun power, 100 watts. You have, so yesterday I showed you this nameplate for this 100 watt sun power panel. When you look down here, they tell you the field wiring. You seen it? Socket wire only, minimum 12 AWG. You seen it right there? This is the nameplate of the panel. They tell you right here, the socket wire only is minimum 12 AWG / 4 millimeter. You got it? So they tell you right here the minimum size of the wiring. They didn't tell you the max, they just tell you the minimum. So they tell you size 12. So what happened if you went and buy a size 10?
No, because it should never ever cause damage.
Okay.
If there's a size above that, it's above where you below.
Huh?
You use a size above that minimum, but you don't use below.
You can use a size above the minimum, but you can't use a size below. That's correct. That's correct. That's extremely correct. You should talk about anything but wiring temperature. I'm talking about wiring in this. But all the PV model come with a data sheet. Um, so that's what we're talking about there. Now let's look here. In page number, are we 15? Okay, page number 15. Voltage drop, lose voltage, blah, blah, we read about that. So they said voltage drop is a function. I want somebody to read this from their material.
Voltage drop is a function of the inherent efficiency of all inductors. This efficiency is a factor of the diameter, material length, and temperature of this conductor. NC chapter 9 to 8, this conductor is using in pounds per 1,000 feet. Voltage drop is calculated based on the conductor resistance, then operating voltage, and the amount of current flowing through it.
So what did NEC chapter 9 table 8 says? It tells you how many amps per watt, 1,000 feet, not so? 1,000 feet. So a smaller wire will have higher voltage drop than the larger wire carrying the same current. You get that? A smaller wire will have high voltage drop than the larger wire carrying the same current. A longer length of wire will have a higher voltage drop than the shorter one of the same size, carrying the same current. The greater the current in the conductor, the higher the voltage drop. Voltage drop directly correlates to a power loss, since watts equals volt times amps. W equals volt times amps, or watts equal volt times amps. Reductions in voltage equal a corresponding reductions in watts, or power giving the same current. So they are saying is, if for any reason you start losing the voltage, what will happen? You will lose the watts. So you build a PV system of 10 kilowatts, and you start losing a lot of voltage in that 10 kilowatt system. You use a lot of voltage. You also be also aware that you're going to start losing watts. And what happens when you lose watts? You will lose watts hour, not so? And when you lose watts hour, what happened to your appliances? The current will be low. The current will drop. So it is a very important aspect when it comes to designing your PV system, comes to installation. You must understand that to choose the appropriate conductor. Before we start with the appropriate conductor, the appropriate conduit, the appropriate socket for your wiring system. Your conductor, your conduit, and your socket. You must make sure you get the appropriate of these three things to have a good system built, because you want to have the most minimum of voltage drop, have a proper and a unique installed PV system. You want to have that done. You want to have the most. That's what you want to have. So we finish. We got to finish this today. We're almost done. Do you guys want to go out and take a break or whatever? You just want to continue?
Now, before we go for a break, I want to ask question, page 14.
Page 14, okay. Here we are.
On the last one, 6. In essence, the means that although three sensors with written conductors are often used, the antecedent after being a test for condition of use was not exceed the antecedent rating given in the 75 degrees following in any 10, 15, 16, thus ensuring that they never operate above the 75 temperature, 75 degrees Celsius temperature in the terminal. So it's the terminal that we should be using, it should not be above 75 degrees, but 80 degrees, something like 90. Mm-hmm. And what it's trying to say.
So let me I'm going to make this simple. This is the airport. You have terminal A, you have terminal B, not so? Huh? I'm giving you a graphical scenario. Yeah, you know what is, you have terminals, not so? At the airport they say terminals, not so?
Yeah.
The reason why they call those building terminals is because they don't store people. People pass through them. So this terminal here is not a storage. It is where the conduit passes through the current through the conduit the conductor passes through. Are we clear, Mr. Kotuma?
Yeah.
But even though we are passing our conductor through this terminal, we want to make sure that we have the appropriate occupants. We can't put too much people inside this terminal. If we put too many people in this terminal, what's going to happen? People are going to start getting sick. If the chair in the terminal was made for one person to sit down in each chair, and we start putting 10 people, 3 people per chair, what happens there? People start sweating, people start contracting diseases from being too close to another person. Also, so they're saying even though this conduit here is made to withstand a 90 degrees Celsius, but this terminal here, this terminal is not outside. Terminal are usually inside the building. So the terminal are not they're not made for that kind of a high temperature handling. They're usually inside the building or place where they are not really exposed, as compared to the conduit. The conductor. The conductor are made to handle that much temperature because there's high possibility that there will be places that will be through conduit that will experience a lot of heat. This is just a terminal. But they're saying that no matter how you try, no matter if for any reason you have to reduce, you should not go below the 75 degree Celsius, this terminal handle. Okay? Even though this conductor is 90 degree, they have to try to suppress this 90 degree, but we shouldn't go below the 75 degree this handle. Then we will have a problem. If we continue, you will grab the concept as we continue to go. Okay?
Okay. So we move up break.
If you guys want to, but where you say, Mr. Kutuma, we are at page number 15. 7th page. You want to take a 5-minute stretch?
Let us continue the work. They already gone.
Okay. All right, let's continue. Okay. All right. Now we go to acceptable voltage drop.
One way I want to here.
Yeah.
It says that the temperature going to be ready out, on the back of the terminal most of the time.
Yeah.
But in the case where it is not ready on the back or anywhere near the back, then I tell you all that we consider it.
That means the old one. They're saying that the older one don't have the name written on them. So if you find any terminal that don't have the name written on it, there's a possibility that those will be the older terminals, so they will fall within 60 degrees. But it's very scarce to find those kind of. What are you gonna go buy an old degree or you want to buy a terminal that you have the reading on it? You can see the temperature readings on it.
Yeah.
If you go now, say you went to Freeport you go to Freeport now, you're doing a job. You went to Freeport to buy your terminal. Of course, you're going to find a terminal there from before the war. Are we clear? Okay. So we are here, page number voltage drop. Page number 16. We are page number 16. Acceptable voltage drop. Somebody else read this for me.
At the 2016, maximum drop to any acceptable degree. Check equipment manufacturer recommendations. PV to inverter, DC. Inverter to grade point of interconnection. Continue.
Yeah.
Okay. In some cases, DC voltage drop, V drop, this will require direct system, the voltage drop on the DC side of the system for the array of the pressure should be explosive by state, explosive state, 2% or less. In some cases, up to 3% or so is gained. Acceptable. From the inverter to AC 3 meter, a voltage drop of about 1% to a maximum of 1.5%. The good practice, the maximum voltage drop is typically specified by the inverter manufacturer.
Okay, great, great, great. Excellent. Now, we're talking about acceptable voltage drop. When you have a system and your system start reading voltage drop of or more or this, that, and I mean, then you know that there is a problem. They say addictive throughout the system. Minimize voltage drop within acceptable limits. Check equipment manufacturer recommendation. The manufacturer tells you what is the minimum voltage drop of that system. The PV array, the junction box, the DC disconnect. Then we have what? We have our inverter. Then we have the AC disconnect, the AC service panel, the utility meter. So inverter to grill, they're talking about 2 to 3% between your PV array, your junction box, and DC disconnect. They're saying for a good installation, you should be between 2 to 3% when it comes to voltage drop. Now, when we talk about between the AC disconnect to your AC service panel, you should have a voltage drop between 1.5%. That's what it's saying is you to do everything properly well to minimize the amount of voltage drop you're going to have in your installation. Because this inverter is going to give you some readings. You're also going to have your meter to test to see what are you getting the appropriate current you're supposed to get, or what a quantity or what amount of voltage drop you are getting from that system. There are equipments you can use. In some cases, meeting voltage drop V drop limit will require conductor size to be increased above the size calculated for NEC amplicity requirement. In the grill direct system, the voltage drop on the DC side of the system from the array to the inverter should be approximately 2% or less. In some cases, up to 3%. So is deemed acceptable. From the inverter to the AC utility meter, a voltage drop of about 1% to a maximum of 1.5% is a good practice. So if you did your PV installation and the person having a voltage drop of 5%, 6%, 10%, the customer may not know what's going on. But if for any reason another technician comes there and tell that person, you are losing a lot of current, what happens to your work? They say you didn't do a good job. And it may cause them to not be able to keep some of the appliances that was to be kept on. So it is a very important keynote. You must take keynote of this area when it comes to the PV installation, PV system installation. Voltage drop is addictive throughout the system, meaning that the total V drop from the DC side of the system is the sum of the V drop between the PV array and the junction box. Junction box and DC disconnect and inverter. The same holds true on the AC side. So you will have a voltage drop. But what does matter is that you must have the minimum voltage drop. And they're saying that of a lengthy amount of drop, at least 3% between your PV array, to your DC disconnect, at least you should be below 3%. That is why when you're allocating, when you remember when we're doing our PV, we're using the PV watts calculator. How many of you remember we're using the PV watts calculator? There was an allocation for voltage drop. Do you remember that? If you were in the class, we're using the PV watts calculator. There were allocation for voltage drop because they know that there will be voltage drop either because of the wiring or either because of there may be the sockets. There will be voltage drop, but your job to do a proper job, if your voltage drop is between, let's say, less than 3%, you did a good job. So what happened if somebody call you and say somebody installed somebody did a job for me here, but it's not handling the system, handling my appliances. As a PV installer technician, what do? You go and check for voltage drop. And now what you're gonna do? You're gonna do a troubleshoot to know what is the voltage drop. Maybe while you're doing your troubleshoot, you notice that the person used smaller wires. They may have the appropriate, the actual required amount of PV array, but they use small wires. They did a long run of wires. All of those are factors that causes voltage drop. Okay? Now, many online calculators are available to facilitate quick size of conductor for acceptable voltage drop. It is important to verify if the calculator is requiring a one-way or two-way distance when asking for length of the wire. So there are calculators that you can use for sizing. This is an online calculator available to facilitate quick sizing of conductors. There's the calculators there. The online calculator you can use for sizing your conductor. For example, I know that from the roof to where my PV, where my inverter is in the building, I know that is about 20 feet. It may be 20 feet or 10 feet or 15 feet. I know that. So they're asking me for the runs. I enter that in the calculator. The calculator will tell you exactly what kind of conduit you need, how much of the length you need for that job. Is that understandable?
Yeah.
Okay. So don't worry, we'll come with a time where we use calculator and stuff. But let's learn it the high way first, okay? When determining voltage drop, the NEC implicit adjustment factors used when calculating circuit current do not need to be applied because voltage drop relates to efficiency, not safety. Rather use IMP and VPM for PV socket. So let's go back to a PV socket. IMP, VPM. Let's look out for IMP. This is the data sheet of this PV model. Do you see IMP here? VPM, IMP. You seen it right here? So IMPP, but IMP is IMP. The current at MPP is 9.57 for the 380 watts. And they say we can also use the VPM. The VPM. Huh?
Thirty-one, 9.71.
39.71?
Yeah.
Okay. 39.71. All right, there you go. So you notice that when we're looking for the irradiance and the continuous, we use what? The short circuit, not so? We use the short circuit. This is what we use. We use the short circuit current. That's what we use to find, you remember we multiply it by 1.25 to find the irradiance, and we add another 1.25 to find the continuous duty.
Uh,
Okay, now they're saying that if we were trying to find the voltage drop, we will use this. This is what we're going to use now. We're going to use we're going to use the following. We're going to use you can use the rather use the IMP, the VPM for the PV socket, and the manufacturer specified inverter, rate outside current, and nominal AC operating voltage for AC socket. So the manufacturer specific inverter. So I will actually find a manufacturer an inverter the data sheet for an inverter. It will tells you most of those things as well. I think I got some somewhere. I will find a nice class somewhere inside this in here. You can see what inverter at. Power bridge inverter. Oh no, this is a picture. You saw the picture already. I don't know if they have the wiring strand there, series power load. Production of power bridge 6,000 watts inverter. No, this is I will find I have the specs of an inverter, 3K hybrid inverter right here. Excellent. I think I have a data sheet for inverter right here. Either the inverter data sheet or the manual. I was saying I will have to find it and send it to you guys, but I would go through it just for other material. I'll send it to you guys. Let me go through this. So that is what we use. I sure they're gonna show up as we go along. Let's move forward. Page number 17. Number 17. Summary: conductor sizing considerations. The PV to inverter DC. PV array, the junction box, the DC disconnect. The maximum socket current, the continual duty or conditions of use corrections, whichever is greater. From the inverter to the grill, point of interconnections, the AC disconnect, the AC service panel, utility meter, maximum current socket, continual duty or conditions used, volt drop, including microinverter. Wire sizing is multi-step process. And this lesson is only a basic overview. Now that we have looked at the consideration for sizing DC and AC conductor, let recap how the process works. On both the AC and the DC side of the system, use the maximum current calculated per the NEC or manufacturer provided and adjust it using either the 1.25 continuous duty correction factor or condition of use correction, which is greater to determine the maximum current conductor. All right, we'll recap it. On the AC side of the system, the maximum current is based on the manufacturer's supply inverter output current value. Inverter output current value. On the DC side of the system, the maximum current is either calculated using a 1.25. So on the AC side, the maximum current is based on the manufacturer's supply inverter output current value. Inverter output current value. Let me see what the output current for this inverter is. This is not too specific. I'm looking for operating voltage range, 15 degrees. Looking for the amperes. Charging current, the amps. AC charging current. Low DC warning, overload, output frequency, output voltage regulation, output voltage wave. It's okay. I can't find it on this. I want to get another one. So now, now for the DC, for your DC side, we're going to find the irradiance. And then we're going to multiply the irradiance by 1.25 to find the what? The maximum current for your DC side. For the AC side, which is this section here, the AC side, what we're going to do, we're going to look at the data sheet of the inverter, which will tell us, that's what it says. For the AC side of the system, the maximum current is based on the manufacturer's supply inverter output current value. On the DC side of the system, the maximum current is either calculated using your 1.25 irradiance factor. For PV source and output socket or a manufacturer provided value for DC to DC converter source output socket. So it explains itself. They're saying that when we started with our training, we noticed that we had to find the irradiance factors. The Kotuma, we all know how to find the irradiance factor. Is that clear? Then we added 1.2, we multiplied the irradiance factor by 1.25 to find what? To find the continuous. All right. So that's to find the maximum current. So that's what we did. Then for the AC section, we're not using 1.25 for the AC section. The inverter you're using, the inverter from the manufacturer will give you the maximum current. You will see it on the nameplate. I mean, you may see it on the inverter, or you may see it on the data on the manual or the data sheet of the inverter. It comes with the inverter. So then you will know. I have one of those I downloaded, but I just can't go through my file now to find the next class. I will present it to you guys also because I want to summarize it. I want you guys to stay over there all day. Hold on 1 second. Let me ask this guy if he's ready coming to that class, okay?
Hello?
Yeah, I told the man, I just want to make sure that the man, you don't have to come. Because I told him that he could just wait. He's not coming to do installation, he was just coming to see the class. Mr. Kotuma, if somebody come, we cannot wait for everybody. You know the story of the five virgins?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a good principle of life. The ones that are there with the few will have the few that the one going to go see the bride. So if any reason whatsoever, we have a schedule because we cannot, if somebody said this is when they can do it and we need them, I'll have them come. If they come and share their little knowledge with just few of you guys, it worked well for me.
Yeah.
Okay? Then you guys can pass it on. So let's move right here. Let's move to chart 17. Although the assumption with all NEC correction factors. Assumptions. Outdoor design temperature of 47 degrees or less cover all locations in the US. No more than 9 current carrying conductor in conduit. 4 source sockets maximum. Conductor at least 7/8 of an inch above roof. 1.25 irradiance factor included. So they made it very explicit here that your conductor should not be on the roof. It should be lifted up from the roof. At least there should be a space between your conductor and the roof. Don't go put the conductor on and lay on the zinc. We can't do that. We have to elevate it from off the roof. So because if you lay on the roof, that's a bad job. So your conductor need to be off the roof, or your conduit, whatever it is, should be off the roof. 1.25 radiant factor included. Terminal temperature limit verified. Does not account for voltage drop. PV source socket model STC RSC. The 18.37 amps. The minimum conductor size you're going to need is a 10 AWG. 13.78, you're going to need 12 AWG. 11.48 amps, you're going to need 14 AWG. So my people, let me ask you a question. Friends, today when we made a calculation, we had our STC for our irradiance for the PV model of 12.6. What would be the minimum conductor size for that 12.6?
Minimum conductor size.
Yeah, we have 10 AWG, we have 12 AWG, we have 14 AWG.
We use 10.
You use 10?
11.
Do you notice that the highest the ISC, the smaller the cable? Do you notice that? 14 will work very well. Always remember.
The higher the number, the smaller the wire.
Yes.
The higher the number, the smaller the wire.
So 14 for a minimum size will be a good recommend to be good 14 will do good. So our irradiance for that 300 the recommended minimum conductor size for that 380 watts PV model Q cells will be 14 AWG. So what happens if I have a technician giving an estimate and they estimated that the conductor size is 12 AWG? What would I say? Your conductor size is wrong. Got it? All right. This table shows Serra's conductor size for PV socket, which have been calculated based on Serra's maximum ISC rating for model per 2017 NEC. The people make this job simple. They've already has a table that they already did a calculation for us. There are several conditions that must be met in order to use the wire sizing guidelines on the chart of this slide. When conductors are in conduit, it must be at least less than 7/8 above the roof surface. No more than 9 current carrying conductors can be in any one conduit. Mr. Kotuma, what that means?
Well, I was not following.
I'm going to ask the question again. There are several conditions that must be met in order to use the wire sizing guidelines on this chart on this slide. When conductors are in conduit, it must be at least 7/8 above the roof surface. No more than 9 current carrying conductor can be in any one conduit. What it means?
Okay, so we are running the conductor on the roof. It should not be flat on the roof. It should be lifted above the roof.
It should be lifted above the roof.
78 of an inch.
Okay.
So we should not put more than 9 wires or current carrying conductors. Not one way. Yeah, because that will cause the temperature in that conduit will be very high. We affect the condition.
So you went to investigate a job. I had a customer who kept calling me and said they did a job for him, but he's not getting. Okay, if you went to investigate a job and you went on the roof and you noticed that there's only one conduit, but then there is 12 panel on the top of the roof. What would be your first troubleshooting there? 12 panel, 12. You have 12. There's 12 conductors in the conduit. Let's just say 12 conductor in the conduit on the roof. What would be your response from there? You would know first and foremost that is causing a big problem.
The first error there, because that's something that will cause the system not to perform at capacity. So the voltage will drop, the point will drop. So you not just pick up the equipment job. Yeah, because so many conductors in the same conduit, because the temperature in the conduit will be very high, and so because the voltage in the wire will drop, and so the capacity of the current will also be low. And if it is low, the current will pick up the load that it has, the devices that they want to use. So for that reason, we will not be a good job. So we are troubleshooting, and try to reduce the the wire or whatever in that conduit. I think that about eight wire or 9 wires the conduit. So what work? But we will cause it to perform below capacity.
Okay, I'm going to give you a quick answer, a quick question. If the required temperature to have 9 conduit in a conductor is 76 degrees Fahrenheit, how much conduit you are going to put in a conductor for a required temperature of 86 degrees? How much conductor? If they're saying here, if the ambient design temperature must be 76 degrees Celsius. So if the design degree is 76, you can have 9 put into a conduit. Now, if the temperature is 86, how much can you put into a conduit?
The temperature around 86.
Mm-hmm.
Then that means probably you put a 9.
No, you can't.
Put a 9 or that's complete. But a higher tolerance for temperature.
No, listen to me. They're saying here you can do that in an area that you have up to 47 degrees Celsius or less. That means it's cold. That's a cold place. Like America, it's cold. You can do that in that kind of place. You can put up to 9 conduit in the 9 conductor in the conduit. But in a very hot, warm temperature area, you cannot put that much into a conduit. So like Liberia, you have to put half of that number into the conduit because the temperature there is very high, and you want to avoid the heat. Not so we're talking about the heat, not so.
Yes.
So that's the question I asked. So if you have a 85 degree or 80 some degree, you can put only like 4 or 5 into a conduit.
Yes,
Conduit.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
What about thinking? Is that temperature rating? The temperature rating, is that temperature that currently exists in the conduit, or is it the temperature tolerance of the conduit?
No. Let me read this for you and I'll explain it. They said right, blah, 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 blah. It must be at least 78 above the roof surface. No more than 9 current carrying conduit. Current carrying conductor can be in any one conduit. And the outdoor ambience design temperature. When you're designing your system, you're going to know the outdoor temperature. What would be our outdoor temperature for Liberia? The coldest temperature in Liberia would be 60 degrees. Not so. Let's say in December, maybe in the morning or in the rainy season time, it feel a little bit cold, but it's not going to be below 60 degrees. I don't think so. Except maybe you're living in Nima County that get a little bit colder from the mountain or so. But don't confuse yourself with this. You're gonna explain yourself as we go forward. I don't want to confuse you guys. I was just using just quick. Let's go through let's go about the book. As long as the nameplate ISC model being used is less than or equal to the ISC value in the left column, this table can be used as a quick wire sizing guide for source socket. This table cannot be used for PV output socket, which will exceed the current value on the table. Conductor sizing is covered in greater detail in PV 202. There's a course for that. Assumption built into this chart make it let me see the chart. Okay. Assumption built into this chart make it a conservative guide in many situations. Meaning wire may be oversized, but as long as the condition listed above are met, it will result in safety size conductor that meets all NEC requirements. Conductor can be larger than those specified above. For example, a model with an ISC of 6 ohm could use a 10 AWG conductor, which may be needed to accommodate voltage drop requirement. However, They cannot be smaller than the minimum require without verification using more detailed calculations. Note that many installers just always use 10 AWG for PV source socket. In some cases, they could use a smaller conductor, but sticking with a single size means mistakes won't be made and mistake will not be made. And on residential skills, let me see what Mohammed said. Hold on. Mohammed, what's up? Yeah, you just got to move. It's too late, man. It's too late to go all the way there, yeah?
I just got to move around.
Okay, I noticed that. So what? Yeah, if you want, I can just put you on the what on the thing. You just speak to the client and say hi.
Yeah, yeah. Let me just to the attendant side why I need you why I know you put in out.
I sent you the link on your WhatsApp. Just click on it then.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So the most important reason why I want Mohammed have been doing a lot of big jobs, and he has a lot of practical experience, and he's I've been tapping into the brain of a lot of technicians in Liberia, but he knows what he's doing. And the good thing about him is he's willing to share. Liberians is not often that us Liberians are willing to share our knowledge. We're not very good at that. Hello. Yes. Oh, so that means you don't have Zoom. Download the Zoom on your app on your phone. Mm-hmm. Okay, man, don't have Zoom. All right, that's a long process. Okay, now, they're saying not note that many installers just always use 10 AWD. When we look at this chart here, 18.33A, 10 AWG. So this is 18.33A, 10 AWG, the STC. I think Mr. Katoma, you was a little bit right because when remember we added another 1.25 and we go at 15.6, 15.8.
2.8.
Yeah. So the highest, the hard, the largest, how the STC ratings, because this is greater or less than sign. Also, it's not what it's saying here. Greater or less than.
I see.
Okay. So they're saying the STC RSC greater or less than 18.37. We use this. Greater or less than 13.78. We use 12. So greater or less than greater. Oh no, this is equal to. This equals or equals now. This is equal or above. Not so. This is greater or equal to, eh?
Yes.
So greater or equal to. So actually, I love math. 18.37A is either greater or equal to this number. We will use the 10 AWG. And hello.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give it to you right now. The hold on. Uh, the meeting ID is 732. Hold on, guys.
What do you want? Hello.
Man, I'm trying to get this guy. Hold on 1 second. The man trying to connect to the Zoom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, mommy, I'm gonna send a link to your messenger. Eh?
The password.
Oh, the password. Okay, the password. Hold on. The password is M, like your name, M like Mohammed.
Yeah.
2 I like iron,
I.
B 3 arrow. Yeah. All right, guys, let's continue. Okay. When he connect, I will let him in. All right. So now, what cable? I'm going to ask a question. What conductor we're going to use for a 15.8?
Reduce 10.
15.8?
What 5
Huh?
What 12 wire?
We use a 12 AWG. Yes, that's gonna make a sense. So we use 12 AWG because that is yeah. We'll use a 12. We can't use a 14. We use a 12 AWG. So it fall within our bracket. We use a 12 AWG. So that would be our conductor size. Now over here, they're saying here, with all NEC correction factors, no more than 3 current carrying conductor in conduit, 1 inverter output current. The sizing inverter output current. Okay, I minister. Okay, I think Mohammed is adding now. Hello, Mohammed. Hello. You have to unmute your phone. I think he's mute. He's still connecting. He's not connected yet. His audio is connecting to audio. Yeah, hold on 1 second. You're still connecting to audio. I don't know why you're taking long, but hold on, because maybe it's your first time. I know.
Hello? Mohammed?
Okay, go ahead. You're unmuted now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Good evening, guys. Good evening.
Hello? Welcome.
Yeah, fine. I'm sorry I didn't show up today because I went on some program and I came late. Actually, that's the reason I didn't reach you people today. Yeah. So sorry for that. Maybe I may meet you guys another day.
We had a student that asked a question about your job. He says that, how did you connect 2 inverters together?
Okay, the hybrid inverter, it have a 2 different kind of cable. We have like a 4 different kind of cable on it. That cable, you're gonna use that and parallel it so you can get 10 kVA. You can get each one 5 kVA, 5 kVA. You can get 10 kVA right there on it. Like I have you getting me?
Yeah. Are you guys getting him?
Yeah.
Okay, I have that current just go off, so I decided to put my inverter on. That's the reason, because the place was a little bit dark. Okay, you have 2 5 kVA inverter. You can parallel that directly. You get 10 kVA. Okay, but if you guys want to know that, then we can be on the feed. I teach you guys how to do that. It's very easy.
So I was saying that I would like for my guys sometime to come down when you have a job, so they can work with you or spend the time with you, so they can see what we're learning practically, so they can see it on the practical skills.
Okay, yeah, that is good. I will highly appreciate that, and because this job, you don't do it your one person idea is not that enough much, So when you have like a group of people, the team can make a one. It just depends how you can share the idea, and the others can buy the idea as well. Because more of this job, you need to ask questions, and more questions so you can learn more. That's the most important thing. in the trade.
Anybody have question for Mohammed?
For now, for me, I don't have any question. Yeah, you are talking about connecting the two inverter.
Yeah.
You connect them in parallel or in series.
Yeah, the two inverter can go in parallel, not series. If you want to get the two hybrid inverter in 10 kVA, you have to parallel it. You don't do series because it don't work with series. You have to go to parallel. So that means the two inverters, they have the cable on it. Each of the inverter pack have a cable. They have, oh God, I carry my car. They have the flex cable inside it. Through that cable, each of it have 4 cable. One will show you where the other one will go, and the 2 red ones, red and black. The other one is gray. So you can able to do that. Then you can parallel the 2 inverter. It give you directly 10 kVA.
Mohammed, I also have another question. Today, our topic we are having discussion is sizing the conductor for PV system. Can you
Yeah.
elaborate on conductor sizing? Why it is important, and how do you size your conductors to know what the appropriate conductor?
Okay. To size your conductor, it depends on your rail. It depends on your rail.
Guys, what is it? Guys, do you know what a rail is?
The real?
The arrail.
Yeah.
The arrail.
Yeah. I will.
Okay.
The group of PV.
A group of PV model. Okay. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Mohammed.
A group of a group of PV module make a rail. It depends on your rail, how your rail is. This is how you're going to do your conductor. And in this situation, when you're doing DC system, you have to be very careful because DC don't take slack connection. When you are doing these things, you're going to very be careful how you tighten your conductors, because where you're going to connect a group of wire to make it one, you have to be very be careful on it. Yeah.
Okay. Now I want right here. Can you see this picture we have here, Mohammed?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on a second. So here we were talking about. Let me use this one. So we have in this picture we have a group
You
of
have 4 rail.
4 rail.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So these are paired in what? Series or parallel?
No, this we call this system series parallel connection.
Series parallel connection. Okay.
Yes. This is series parallel connection because each rail is in series. Each rail is in series. At the end, in the combiner box, you parallel them so you can get a more amperage to run your system, to charge your battery bank.
All right. My other question is why is the socket change? Why did the socket change between the DC combiner box? Why the socket seems to change? If you notice here, this socket here, it look a little bigger than the ones over here. Why did it change?
I'm not, can you zoom it a little bit? Let me see. Okay,
Okay.
I'm seeing. Okay, I'm seeing. It's a DC connector. Okay, this is the combiner box, right?
Yeah, the combiner box is right here.
Yeah, this combiner box, they were all the power and series connection come. Why this one is very small? Because we have a link between here, which is we have some use safety switch, some use a breaker, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some use a double tube. But when you use your safety switch, it can be better. Or another breaker, DC breaker, to disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
To disconnect between the charge controller or another the inverter. This is why you put this between it. This disconnect switch, DC disconnect. You can even see it. They telling you that DC disconnect from the combiner box to there. Because when the PV come in, before it go to the charge controller, I have to we have to get something we call a disconnect switch, a disconnect box. This is the box to come directly to your charge controller. But now for this, it coming directly to where? To the inverter.
Mm-hmm.
This one coming directly to the inverter. You see, that's the reason they tell you, they say PV output current, right?
The socket, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because it coming directly from the PV, it come to the combiner box, then it come to the breaker or the disconnect switch before it goes to the inverter. Okay, you have similar things here as well. After the inverter or the charge controller, you have the same disconnect switch, the AC. This one now is going to AC before you feed the building.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Mohammed. So you notice that you guys know that Mohammed kept talking about a charge controller, because Mohammed built a battery, a battery-based system. The system Mohammed builds a battery-based system. Graph here is a grill tie. It's called a grill direct system. This is a grill direct system. They don't have no battery bank. So this is just
Yeah,
a grill.
Can I come in?
Come in.
This one, you're using micro inverter.
Mm-hmm.
This one, because we have micro inverter
right here
from the rooftop under the rack.
Mm-hmm.
We have a micro inverter, which you don't need any battery, but it go directly from your PV straight to the micro inverters. Okay, exactly. Those are the micro inverters.
Mm-hmm.
This one provide direct AC power to your source.
Okay.
Those are the micro inverters. Like this system is how many kV? Let me see. How many kilowatts?
It's 20 model.
Okay, I see 20. Yeah, 20 PV.
So socket.
Yeah.
Yeah, 20 PV so socket.
Yeah. So like in Liberia now, we don't have this system yet.
Huh?
This micro inverter, we don't have it. Now, like I want technicians to know about this micro inverter. If you don't know about this, you don't even know how to use it, because it's very, very delicate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very delicate. You guys are learning good, but it's just like when you see it, you have to do it in practical. So I don't know.
I just wanted to know the importance of the material they get, to know exactly the preparation. So when they go out there, they can know that, it's, you don't know how much of a material you get until when you go on the field and you see other technicians, and then
Exactly.
you say, oh, I was ready learning. It's very is very, very important. Mama, thank you very much for that contribution. So we were just one of the major thing I want to talk about here is I want to go through with me right here is on the we want to talk about voltage drop. So we were
voltage drop.
Yeah, we were talking about, I want to go right on our sheet there for you. We were talking about voltage drop on what page do we have? Voltage drop right here. So we're talking about the voltage drop or the V drop. And we're talking about causes voltage drop, like the size of the wire, the distance, how long of a distance, the greater the current, the higher temperature. So that's what we're just going through the voltage drop. Have you experienced voltage drop in your installation?
For me, no, because I always size my system properly. One, if you have a large system and you use smaller wire, you always notice your voltage, it will drop. Now, for instance, I have like a 10 plate, 10 solar plate, which comprising like let's say 350 watt, 350 watt, like 75 volts each, or yeah, 75 volts each, right? Now, you're going to do your calculation. First of all, you, the technician, you're going to know which of the configuration you want to do. You want to build a system amp, or you want to increase the volts. After doing the sizing, then you have a calculation that you can do. In that sizing, if you want to add the amp or another add the volt, you have to get a calculation that you will do. This calculation is going to tell you exactly the size of wire that you will use in that configuration or in that building of the system, that you cannot lose even 5%, because in any installation, you have to lose some voltage. But you have to very be careful how you do your sizing. Instead of losing 45% or 50%, you should lose 5% of volt drop, because if you lose 5% or 10% of volt drop, it have no effect on your system. So that's the reason, after you want to build your system, you have to do your configuration well. From there, you do your wire sizing calculation. Is another topic. Because yeah, that is another topic. Maybe one day we will reach there. Because in this system now, I using 8 solar panel at my roof. My 8 solar panel, each one is 100 and it's 100 watts. 100 watt, 22 volts. Okay. After I did my calculation, I put all in parallel because I need a more amp hour to charge my battery. So what I did, I increased my cable. I using 6mm cable to come directly to my charge controller. And the 6mm cable, I have like a 25 feet. So in that 25 feet, I didn't lose anything. In fact, always my voltage is normal. Every day, my voltage, my amperage is normal on my system. You see? So you have to know how to size your cable. Even in the battery, a battery bank that you want to build, if you don't know the sizing of the cable, you will always lose a power. The power will always waste. It's all about sizing.
Thank you. Guys, did you have any question for Mohammed?
Yes, Mohammed.
Yeah.
You mentioned about the cable.
Yeah.
That you said cylindrical cable. That about they have a description of cable in the system, that AWG. What the difference between AWG and cylindrical cable? AWG wire.
Oh, it's it's the same cable, but it's just the cable in the cable measurement, because he's reading in the metric system. That's why he says that it's the same. You get the AWG is in millimeter, as it comes in millimeter, isn't it? The cable.
Yeah, AWG is just a name of a wire, right? Yeah. People say AWG or AWG. Yeah, AWG is a gray.
The AWG stands for the American Gauge wire. That's what it stands for.
Yeah, American Gauge wire.
Yeah,
it's just a name.
American wire gauge, AWG.
Yeah, that's it. That's the name for American wires. We have European cables, right? But in doing solar, we have specific cables for that. We have DC cable.
PV wire. Remember the PV? I spoke about PV wire.
Yeah, we have PV wires. We have PV wires which come straight from the battery, from the plate to your controller or another to your combiner box, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have separate wire for that. We have PV cables. We have them, but for most installation, we use a copper flexible cable because the copper cable is still work the same way the PV cable work. The PV cable is a copper, but the copper is different. It look like aluminum.
Mm-hmm.
It look like aluminum. It's a different cable, right? That is
Mm-hmm.
what, even when some PV, some panels that can come from the US, you
Yeah.
can see your cable when you peel it, it have white something inside. You just think that alley,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but it's not alley. It's a copper. That's a different source of copper.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, thank you.
yeah.
All right, guys. So we stopped to what? Page 18.
18.
All right, page. We stop to page 18 for this class. So we will get done with this material next week Friday. I will do the next week Friday. We finish this material here. We have we page 18. The reading is from page 18 to page 27. So page 18 to page 27, we're going to be reading. Let me see right here on the summary. 26, 27. So we're going to be reading, and then you will have this here. We'll talk about the amount of current that could actually be measured is referred to as what? What is the primary factor in condition of use that reduce the ampacity of conductor? That is heat. That's the answer. What are the two primary considerations when sizing circuit conductor? One, safety. Conductor must have adequate ampacity for the circuit current. Two, good design. Conductor must meet voltage drop requirements. So then they say, are PV system circuit considered to be continuous duty? Yes. Remember we spoke
Yes,
about the continuous duty? We spoke of
yes,
mommy the continuous duty when the sun go above above the required radiance.
yeah, yeah. When the sun go up high, and but in these places, the sun is always stable. That's the reason you size your system properly, and you size your system properly to match the system, the weather of this place. You know, so I don't know if these guys are really sizing, because that's the most important thing you're supposed to know in a solar sizing. The sizing, that's the most important thing. Yeah, how to size a customer system. That's the most important thing in this job, because if you don't know how to do sizing, you will always fail. You will always fail. That's the reason anywhere you go to do assessment, you have to really careful and do your assessment. From the assessment, you're able to know how to size that particular system. And anytime you're sizing a system, you don't size the system exactly. For instance, I want to use my system for 8 hours. I'm not going to size it for exact 8 hours. I'm going to size it for 12 hours or 15 hours, because you always have to leave a backup.
Mm-hmm.
A backup in the sense, for instance, I have 6 batteries that I'm using to my house. These 6 batteries, each is 2 volt, 200 amp, which gave me 1,200 watts for each. No, it gave me 2,400 watts for each. in that 2,400 watt, I size my system exactly in my house. I don't even have this kind of capacity. And I can run it. Even now, LEC just went. I put my inverter on. That is what I'm using right now. I will use this at this time now, it's 6 o'clock. I will use it until tomorrow, even 12 o'clock before I could leave my house.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Because of how I size my system. So in solar, the sizing is the most priority thing. You have different size of batteries, different type of system. So you as a technician, when you go on the field, don't mind because you want to do the project, but do your sizing properly that you will get a good result. Because in the field right now, we have a lot of people discouraging people not to do solar. It's because of what? Because of the sizing that they are doing for the customers.
Because by technicians, yep.
Yes. So the customers always discourage. But like for some of us, it is our passion, it is our dream to make a green energy exist in the world.
Yeah.
Because green energy is a sustainable energy, is a renewable energy. It's very good and it's reliable. So we're trying to talk to our people that it's reliable, it's costly, but it's durable. And we have bad technicians that are always making these people feel bad. So when you are going into a solar, you really need careful and you size your system properly. That is my message and advice I have for we all, because myself I include, and you people as well.
All right. All right, guys. You have any question before we close up?
I just want to ask question. Yeah, that is what you saying that you have other parts and systems. People are already scored the revenue of the solar energy area. So we are just coming to the statement. What can we do? But let's say what can we do in order for solar to start of to do our capability area? How can we?
The question is coming directly to me.
Yeah.
Okay. As I was saying, you people that are coming in the business, anytime you go in the field to do assessment or another to do sizing for someone, you have to always link with someone that is on the field for wide time. Sometimes we ask questions because when you ask questions, you learn more. I will share my number with you people. If you go on the field, anything that difficulty there, you can contact me. I will help you. And we can share numbers as well. Anytime I have job, a bigger job, a smaller job, I will call you people and come, we share more idea. For me, I do electrical electronics engineering. I do solar, I do electrical, I do industrial wiring. Okay, so I'm happy my brother introduced me to you people. We'll learn more and we got more experience. We have more things to do. Not only solar. If you people patient, maybe you can even learn electrical as well. You cannot do solar alone. Because even if you're doing solar, you'll be doing a modified solar. Like for me, what I do in the solar field, most of the solar technicians don't do that. For me, I invent, I build systems. I build systems that a lot of people don't build in their solar field. You see my system that I'm building here? I don't know if you guys are seeing it. This is in my house. This is automatic. I build it, it's automatic. Anytime LEC go, my inverter comes on automatically. Anytime LEC runs down, let me do it good. Let me open it so you guys can see it good. You see the system how it looks inside?
Yeah.
Okay. You guys see it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anytime LEC run down, my inverter down here comes on automatically. And when LEC come back, it cannot just change. It runs me for almost like 2 hours. When LEC is stable, it return back to LEC. So for me, I invent.
Oh.
I can create.
So you see, the thing is that she just spoke to you about something called a gray tie system.
Yeah.
So that's a gray tie system. So a hybrid, that's a hybrid system right there.
Yeah.
So which means that even if you had a generator, you can still have you have your solar energy and you have a generator.
Yeah.
If your battery you need to charge your battery while your generator is running, your generator can also be helping to charge your battery through your hybrid inverter or
Yeah.
your inverter charger. But all these,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very excited for today. Most of the time, if mommy have the time, if we have training section, I will bring it on. So and then I will want us to go out there, so we can learn. One of the things I would say to you, I have never done a practical job in solar energy. I've never gone to the field before. I've not cut a cable before. I
Okay.
know the theoretical aspect because I devote my time to learning, to reading
Yeah.
about it, and I'm doing an international course. So the book
Yeah.
part, I know that part. I know the book part. That's why you see I want to bring somebody in who has the hands-on experience.
Yeah.
That's why Mohammed coming in with a hands-on experience. Because some of the things you may read theoretically on the field, there may be a little twist and turn here, but on the field, it all direct, it all goes to the same place. We all supposed to meet at City Hall. Whether I
Yeah.
come from Oro, you come from Duporo, the final destination is City Hall. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter where you come from. Where you come from, 24th Street, the people say we all must meet at City Hall. They're going to ask you where you come from. You must
Yeah.
get at City Hall. So that's an example. We have to get to the conclusion as a team. So, mommy, I want to, I want to say thank you to you guys. I've been out here. I mean, I will send a link of this training video. I will do the video and we'll send it through a link so you
Yeah.
guys can watch it. And then
Okay.
we are going to continue from page 18. So please read the material, okay, guys?
Okay.
All right, guys. Mommy, thank you very much for your contribution, bro.
Okay, bro. Thank you very much.
Okay. Hey, Mohammed number is on the group. I added him to our Facebook group. If you're on the Facebook group, you'll see him there.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, yeah. It's on the group.
it's on the WhatsApp group. The WhatsApp
It's
group.
on the WhatsApp group.
Thank you for the day.
And when
All
Mommy
right.
have a job, we're gonna go there. Mommy, you see my boys with a shirt. You guys stand. Let Mommy see the shirt. Let Mommy see the shirt. One of y'all stand. Let him see our shirt. Mommy, you see the shirt?
Yeah, I didn't see that. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the shirt right there. That is our Voma energy. That's our shirt right there.
Okay. They
So
are in town. They're in town. Some of these guys living in town, or they live at Habel there.
yeah, they ain't happy about when you got a job, they will come down. I will make sure they come down. They will
Okay.
come down.
Okay.
Mr. Kotuma, you got a boost, not so?
Yes.
Okay. You got it. Mr. Kotuma has a boost. How many pair of boots you got?
That's 6 pieces.
6 pair of working boots. So I sent working boots already. So they have it. I just shipped some tests, some thermometer and all of that. I just shipped them. So we have some tools that are going to be arriving on the ground.
Okay.
So guys,
And some of these guys, they have ever do practical before. They only doing theory yet.
we have few. Which one? Jalal.
That Lincoln have that's one.
Yeah, we have one guy who is an electrician. He's called Lincoln. He's not in class today.
Okay. Well, electricity is another part of system, right? But you cannot do electricity. Then you say you will do solar. You will always miss. Solar is a different aspect. Although it works like electricity, but it's a different aspect as well. It's different that you will learn it different. You have to learn it because solar is more of configurations and calculations. You have to calculate. You have to little bit know mathematics. You have to be, because anybody that do solar is a physicians. That means you have to get some part knowledge in physics, because it's more about calculation. You have to focus in calculating, because it's smaller you miss your calculation, forget it. You miss the system. So I'm very happy, especially when you're doing the practical. It's very good. It's very, very good. For me, I started with theory. I do theory for 7 years before I could start doing practical.